And at number 10, Zac Efron. We know Zac Efron as the love interest Troy in High School Musical, but his new look has shocked his fans. After Zac appeared on a Facebook Watch event for Bill Nye's Earth Day musical, the internet was set ablaze with rumors that he had gone cosmetic surgery to change his face. The lower half of the actor's face looked much more prominent, including his jaw and lips, which both looked fuller. Many Twitter users speculated that Efron might have gotten cosmetic surgery, like bad Botox or fillers. One TikTok doctor even thought that Efron could have recently gotten his wisdom teeth removed. Zac has not commented on the situation, but one of his best friends recently spoke out and denied rumors of plastic surgery. And at number 9, Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is known for her roles in the Descendants franchise, as well as the show Liv and Maddie. But over the years she's gone through quite a transformation, and she's almost unrecognizable compared to what she looked like before. The most widely speculated procedures she has received are lip fillers, an eyebrow raise to give her a cat eye look, and a nose job. At one point her lips were so unnaturally large that fans said that her lips looked hard and like they hurt. Dove is still gorgeous, but instead of being known for her acting, she's known for having tons of procedures at a young age. And at number 8, Adrienne Bailon. The former Cheetah Girl and Disney star has opened up about regretting her decision to get breast implants in her teens. She told E! News in 2014, quote, "When I was 19 years old, I actually did get breast implants, probably one of my greatest regrets. I went from having an insecurity that I didn't have big breasts to now looking like an adult film star. And I was like, this is not great." She also revealed that she got the procedure right before she was set to film Cheetah Girls 2, and it was quite a shock for Disney executives. But she says the implants did not last, and she decided to get them taken out shortly after. She also added that it stretched out her skin, adding, quote, "It was not the smartest decision for my career and just for myself. It was wanting to feel like a woman." Thankfully, she was able to fix things and has a great career. And at number 7, Ariel Winter. You might not know that Ariel Winter was a Disney star because her roles with Disney were purely voice roles. Her Disney voice roles included Princess Sophia and her evil copy in Sophia the First, Gretchen the Fireside Girl, and Wendy Stinglehopper in Phineas and Ferb, along with a few others. And since we have seen Ariel grow up on the show Modern Family, there's been intense speculation that her mature look is due to plastic surgery. On one Instagram post, fans were calling out Ariel for changing, saying they liked how she looked before the plastic surgery. Ariel was so offended by the comment, she responded to it saying, quote, "I appreciate you wanting to help girls love themselves the way they are, but you're also kind of cutting someone, aka me, down, which isn't what I think you were trying to do. I also didn't get plastic surgery. That is also not being supportive of women if you're just assuming something about the way they look." She's been open about getting a breast reduction in 2015, but many think she is lying and had more procedures. And at number 6, Hayden Panettiere. Hayden Panettiere is another actor you might not have known was a Disney star as well. She voiced the character of Dot in the 1998 film A Bug's Life and Suri in Dinosaur in 2000, along playing leading roles in the movies Remember the Titans and Tiger Cruise. It's been rumored for years that she's gotten cosmetic enhancements. The most widely speculated is that she got a boob job sometime in 2013. It was also speculated that she got some Botox and fillers because her skin is smooth and her jawline is perfectly symmetrical, unlike before. Halfway at number 5, Fergie. Before she was known as the leading lady in the Black Eyed Peas, Fergie was a young actress and singer in the cast of Kids Incorporated, a Disney show in the 80s. And over the years in the spotlight, fans have deciphered some big differences from the star before versus now. It's been widely speculated that she had a nose job at one point in time because it's much thinner now than it was before. It's been suggested that she had a boob job as well. Many think Fergie went overboard with whatever work she's had done because people think she looks older than she actually is. And at number 4, Jessica Simpson. Jessica Simpson is known for being a southern bombshell that is a woman of many talents, making a name for herself as an actor and singer. During her time in the spotlight, she also worked alongside Disney. She performed a cover of Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid and performed a cover version of A Whole New World for the Aladdin Platinum Edition alongside her ex-husband Nick Lachey. She and her sister Ashley Simpson also made an appearance on a Disney Christmas show and concert special. And when she got older, she decided to try cosmetic enhancements, specifically lip filler, but she hated it and regretted the procedure. She told Glamour in 2006, quote, "I had that Restylane stuff. It looked fake to me. I didn't like that. But it went away in like 4 months. My lips are back to what they were. Thank God." And at number 3, Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz is an American former actress, producer, author, and fashion model. She's best known for her role as Mary Jensen in There's Something About Mary, along with her role in Charlie's Angels. But she's also had some Disney roles as well. With Disney, she portrayed Jenny Everdeen in the 2002 film Gangs of New York. As she got older, Cameron started to try cosmetic procedures, most notably Botox. But after trying the injectable, she realized that she didn't want to try it ever again. She told ET in 2014, quote, "I've tried Botox before, where it was like a little tiny touch of something. It changed my face in such a weird way that I was like, no, I don't want to be like that. I'd rather see my face aging than a face that doesn't belong to me." And at number 2, Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis is a legendary actor who has starred in so many huge movies and TV shows there is truly too much to name. And many of those acting credits are thanks to Disney. With Disney, Jamie Lee played Tess Coleman in the 2003 remake of Freaky Friday and Aunt Vivian Viv Ash in the film Beverly Hills Chihuahua. She also played Gail Bayer Olsen in the 2010 film You Again. And since Jamie Lee is an A-list celebrity, she admits she succumbs to the pressure to look your best, and because of this she's tried a little bit of everything when it comes to cosmetic injections, but she regrets that decision and will not do it again. She said in one interview, quote, "I've done it all. I've had a little plastic surgery, I've had a little lipo, I've had a little Botox. You know what? None of it works. None of it." And finally at number 1, Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez might be one of the most famous Disney stars of all time. She went from a child actor on Wizards of Waverly Place to a bona fide megastar. At one point she was even the most followed person on Instagram. However, speculation over plastic surgery affected Selena very negatively, so much so that she deleted a photo of her that was at one point the most liked Instagram photo ever. The photo in question was of Selena in a strapless dress holding a drink, and in the photos, her breasts look much larger than we are used to seeing. Because of this photo, rumors that she had a breast augmentation were going wild on the internet. The comment section got so out of hand at one point that she decided to delete the photo altogether.
Number 10. Zac Efron. Zachary David Alexander Efron rose to Disney fame when he starred as Troy Bolton in the classic High School Musical. He played the basketball player turned theater kid, and for some reason that was a big deal to everybody. I mean, I don't get it. I was a theater kid and I've literally had 2 basketball players pretend to be a seesaw and hoist me into the air. Bless their hearts, I was and still am too heavy for that kind of shenanigans. He went on to have an extremely successful career. While his films haven't always been the most lucrative, Zac himself has been a consistently solid performer, from films like Charlie St. Cloud to his most recent flick, Gold. One thing that hasn't been consistent, however, is his face. In 2013, Zac was running through his house when he slipped in his socks and hit his chin on a granite fountain. Hey man, we've all been there. According to Zac, his chin bone was hanging off of his face. He had to have his mouth wired shut and had been undergoing physical therapy up until 2019. Many fans noticed Zac's face getting just a bit puffy recently. Not really in a bad way though, just in like a way that has made him unrecognizable to High School Musical maniacs. He addressed rumors of him undergoing surgery and explained that it was the result of breaking one of the original rules of parenthood. Don't run around the house! Number 9. Miley Cyrus. In 2006, the world was introduced to the popular Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. It starred Miley Cyrus as the titular character, living a double life between being Hannah the pop sensation and Miley Stewart, the new girl from Tennessee that just wants a normal life as a teenager. Miley played herself on the show for 4 seasons before making a Hannah Montana movie and leaving Disney entirely. She appeared in a handful of movies before leaving the acting world behind to focus on her solo music career. In 2016, Miley revealed her new look to the world. She was sprouting short blonde hair, tattoos, and she was in her birthday suit on a wrecking ball. Quite the fashion move. After a few years, she slowly began to shift back to her more natural look and was recently in an interview looking youthful and full of energy again. Miley has been a successful musician since leaving her Hannah Montana days in the dust and seems to be slowly getting back into the acting world now following her voiceover role on the popular Netflix series Black Mirror, one of the best shows Netflix has ever produced. Number 8. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who never actually appeared in a sitcom or TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials for brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O. She got her big break when Disney casted her to play 2 roles in the classic family comedy The Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly meet at a summer camp and discovered that their parents split them up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it is delightful. Her career only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served 84 minutes in jail. Just minutes! Some people spend years in jail, but Lindsay was like, we'll give her a warning. Until 2022, her career was at an abrupt standstill, and Lindsay decided to take that time to make some cosmetic adjustments. She got some work done to herself, and the Lindsay that we grew up with is now trapped behind a thin layer of silicone. Number 7. Moises Arias. Another former Hannah Montana star, Moises is probably best known as the youngest entrepreneur and biggest troublemaker on the beach, Rico. His character on the show was always getting sucked into the family's problems. He delivered some iconic moments that are most of the reason that the show still holds up to this day. There's a good chance you've seen Arias in recent Hollywood flicks, but you probably didn't realize who he was. Since leaving the Disney World behind, he has been a part of several indie films that received stellar reviews, like the coming-of-age story Kings of Summer when he played Biagio, but most recently he starred alongside SNL alumni Pete Davidson in a film based on the comedian's early life called King of Staten Island, sprouting a goatee and tattoos everywhere. It must be in his contract that he exclusively works in films with King in the title or something. Number 6. Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been a controversial celebrity for a long time, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood history. Like many bad apples in LA, Shia got his start on the Disney Channel. At the turn of the century, Disney released a little show called The Even Stevens. The series followed the titular Stevens family with a focus on the kids, Ren and Louis, played by Christy Romano and Shia LaBeouf. The show is considered one of Disney's best, spanning 3 seasons and spawning an Even Stevens movie that is one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever released. These days, Shia has adopted a more mountain man look, always sprouting like a big bushy beard when he can, and he's gone from bright and youthful to tired and annoyed. Hey man, we feel that. Following the show's end, Shia kept his acting career going strong, appearing in the much-loved classic Holes as the main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until his casting in the live-action Transformers series that he began to descend into madness. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and a person has been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that Shia takes method acting just a bit too far. In the film Fury, he played a soldier trapped inside a military tank with his crew. The film was set in Germany in April 1945, and of course they didn't have access to plumbing or any kind of bathrooms at that time, so Shia decided to not bathe for the entire time he was on set. For almost 3 months, his fellow cast had to sit in a cramped tank smelling nothing but Shia. Number 5. Stephen Anthony Lawrence. Now this guy holds a special place in my heart, and his character Beans from the show Even Stevens, previously mentioned on this list, lives rent-free in my skull 24/7. I mean, like, this man is my spirit animal. For those unfamiliar, and hey, I'm sorry if you are, Bean was the weird neighbor kid next door. He would regularly drop in on the Stevens family to cause general mischief and shenanigans, and would often be swooped up into whatever wacky situations the Stevens would get into. Following the end of the show, Steven appeared in several classic comedies like Cheaper by the Dozen, Kicking and Screaming, Cat in the Hat. Oh, sorry, that last one's a horror movie. His career seemed to be on the rise, but with puberty comes a change in priorities. Steven opted to step back from the acting world and focus on developing his mental and physical health, but apparently the acting tick was never actually removed from his skin, as nowadays he teaches the youth of tomorrow through virtual acting lessons. He still has that unforgettable face, but age has certainly shifted him from Beans the boy to Beans the man. Number 4. Ali Grant. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was my favorite Disney show growing up. It followed the life of twin brothers living in a massive hotel with their mom, surrounded by iconic characters like Mr. Mosby, the hotel manager, Irwin, the maintenance man, and of course, Esteban Julio Ricardo Montoya de la Rosa Ramirez. Along with the slew of memorable adult characters, Zack and Cody also had a solid crew of fellow delinquents, including one Miss Ali Grant as Agnes. Agnes was the nerdy girl in school who was under the impression that Cody's got a little crush on her, and while she only appeared in a handful of episodes, she certainly made a long-lasting impression on fans. If you Google Ali now, she defines the word glow up. She looks stunning. Nowadays, Ali is still acting, appearing in smaller roles over the years, but she is currently working on her own TV series set in her hometown of Mississippi, so keep an eye out for that one. Number 3. Doug Brochu. Now, Doug was a cast member of the Disney series Sunny with a Chance, about a fictional sketch show and its cast behind the scenes. It was the first Disney show featuring heavyweight alumni Demi Lovato as the titular Sunny. Following the show's cancellation, Disney attempted to recreate an actual sketch show with the main cast, minus Demi, because apparently she got too famous working on Camp Rock, a movie that has just not aged well. While both Sunny and the sketch show didn't work out, Doug took the situation in stride. He may have starred in a few episodes of other Disney shows in between A and B, but nothing really stuck. and for the most part he has remained out of the acting world. Doug is another example of a glow up gone great, as he appears to have taken very good care of himself, looking healthy and happy in recent photos. Currently, Doug actually works behind the scenes as a live broadcast producer at Esports Engine, moving from acting in sketches to covering video game tournaments. That guy's living the dream. Number 2, Aaron Musicant. While Aaron may not be considered a Disney star, he certainly made a mark in sitcom history when he played Hotel's hot lifeguard Gil on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. His character spent the majority of his time on the show flirting with Ashley Tisdale's character Maddie at her candy stand in the Tipton's lobby. He was always talking about the water, but somehow Maddie was charmed and entranced by Gil. Well, if you've seen a picture of Aaron now, he looks more like a Gil than he ever did on the show. He's regularly seen with long, luscious locks and a bit of a facial scruff. But between his face and his fashion, he looks like he lives on the beach. But not in a house, more like in a shack of logs and seaweed that he scraped together from the ocean. His acting career hasn't gone very far, but he has turned into a very successful carpenter and building designer. Oh, here's hoping that hair never gets caught in a buzzsaw. And number 1, Orlando Brown. That's So Raven is another series considered to be a part of the golden years, aka the early 2000s of Disney. It starred Raven-Symoné as the titular character, who has the ability to briefly see the future via unprompted visions. I swear, every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I just question who was on what when they pitched this. The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friends, Chelsea and Eddie, who were played by Annalise Vanderpool and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, as he quickly became a fan favorite not only for his comedic abilities, but his dramatic abilities as well. After Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being casted as small side characters or secondary characters with minimal screen time in film and TV. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show, and he opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. But he also shocked audiences with his new look. He's drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney stars, as he was arrested for a misdemeanor after an altercation with his brother early last year. Number 10, Brenda Song. London Tipton was the daughter of the man behind the chain of Tipton hotels in the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Brenda Song accepted the role right as she was about to start college. Little did she know that that character would consume her life for the next 6 years. She appeared as London on both Zack and Cody and its reboot sequel series, Sweet Life on Deck, for a total of 6 seasons. Following the show's cancellation in 2011, Brenda starred in a few smaller roles in films like The Social Network, as well as TV roles in shows like Scandal, New Girl, and Superstore. Brenda is still active in the acting community, just in a smaller capacity, as she's traded in her Disney fame for family fortune, starting a family with her boyfriend and fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Dude, Richie Rich and London Tipton have a child together, and that's not a TV show? Brenda is slowly making her return to the mainstream, however, as she's recently starred in a few Netflix and Hulu series, including the comedy series Dollface, where Brenda claims to have rediscovered her passion for acting. Here's hoping it inspires Disney to make another Wendy Wu movie. And if you don't know Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, well, that's fair. Number 9, Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been a controversial celebrity over the years, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood history. Like many bad apples in LA, Shia got his start on the Disney Channel. At the turn of the century, Disney released a little show called The Even Stevens. The series followed the titular Stevens family with a focus on the kids, Ren and Louis, played by Christy Romano and Shia LaBeouf. The show is considered to be one of Disney's best, spanning 3 seasons and spawning an Even Stevens movie that is one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever released. These days, Shia has adopted a more mountain man look, always sprouting like a big bushy beard when he can, and he's gone from bright and youthful to just tired and annoyed. And we feel that, Shia. We really feel that. Following the show's end, Shia kept his acting career going strong, appearing in the much-loved classic Holes as main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until his casting in the live-action Transformers series that he really began to descend into madness. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and a person have been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that Shia takes method acting way too far and just smells terrible on set, not to mention the several public art displays that he gifted the world in the mid-2010s. Oh, and who could forget his passionate, motivational video where he just told told us that nothing was impossible and just do it. While he may still be working today, his reputation as a celebrity has certainly shifted from A-list to the no-thank-you list. Number 8. Ashley Tisdale. Ashley was making a big name for herself in the Disney world after starring as Candy Girl Maddie on the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Her character is considered to be one of the main reasons that show worked in the first place, so it was surprising to see her suddenly vanish from the acting world in the early 2010s, following the end of the High School Musical trilogy as well as her time with the Sweet Life crew. After leaving Disney briefly to film a few raunchy comedies, including the 5th entry in the Scary Movie franchise, she disappeared and fans were confused. Where's Sharpay? Well, it turns out she decided to focus on her personal life, and she tied the knot with musician Christopher French in 2014. After building a solid foundation in her relationship, she shifted her focus to a different style of art in the form of cosmetics. Ashley launched the brand Illuminate Cosmetics, as well as a wellness blog called French, which led to her personal care brand called Being French. While she may have lost her name in the Disney sense, she's rebuilt a solid career for herself in other aspects and is actually set to make a small return to the acting world in a new series for CBS called Brutally Honest, loosely based on Ashley's own life. Well, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, I am watching that show for sure. Number 7. Orlando Brown. That's So Raven. Another series considered to be a part of the golden years, aka the early 2000s of Disney, starred Raven Simone as the titular character, who has the ability to briefly see into the future via unprompted visions. I swear, every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I just question like, why did I like this? Who pitched this? The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friend Chelsea and Eddie, played by Annalise Vanderpool and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, and he quickly became a fan favorite for not only his comedic abilities, but his dramatic ability as well. After Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being casted as small side characters or secondary characters with minimum screen time in film and TV. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show, opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. He also shocked audiences with his new look. He was drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney, as he was arrested for a misdemeanor after an altercation with his brother. Number 6. Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend Oliver Oaken on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the Disney scene, being casted to voice Jeremy and Phineas and Ferb, playing one of the titular kings in the show Pair of Kings, and he was in something called Hatching Pete, which I vaguely remember watching, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those movies that I have like a repressed memory for. He seemed to be on the same track as Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney. People think that about Demi Lovato, right? Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed by police, and the report said that the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of no-no juice just drop-kicked him in the nostrils. He blew a BLA of 0.8, which for those of you who don't know means that he was absolutely hammy, bud. He was arrested, forced to participate in a no-no juice educational program, and charged with driving under the influence. Needless to say, that doesn't really go with Disney's vibe. He was recasted on Pair of Kings, his prank show was cancelled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that just nosedived into a toilet. If you'd like to find Mitchell these days, just download one of his old songs. You'll be the first one to do it in a while. I'm sure he'll find you. Number 5. Jake Paul. The headline here sounds like a Dr. Seuss title. Jake Paul looted them all. That's right, the famous YouTuber Jake Paul was briefly a Disney star in the early 2010s, appearing on a short-lived sitcom called Bizaardvarks. In 2020, Paul was involved in a looting that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. A riot broke out in a mall, literally surrounded by police helicopters with lights and sirens, and Jake's reaction? Oh man, we gotta get the cameras, let's go! Video footage was released by Paul himself, showcasing the events of the night. People were smashing windows and taking everything in sight. While Paul posted a statement on Twitter claiming that he had nothing to do with the riots, and they were there exclusively as observers, the video did show Jake interviewing looters in the mall, and of course groups were recognizing him almost immediately. Thankfully, the authorities stepped in to make their move on Jake, who told his fans, "No cap, that's tear gas, bro." Yeah, how is that English? However, that was just the situation Disney needed to finally fire this guy. According to Disney, Jake's reckless public behavior was very well known to them at the time. There had been plans in place to simply address the issue and to learn from it, but following the events in Scottsdale, they had no choice but to just cut ties with the performer immediately. He was charged with criminal trespassing, and while Jake's videos may still rack up millions of views online, he's certainly no celebrity anymore. His defense for the Scottsdale event was that he was documenting it it as a quote public service. Well, okay, if I videotape my friend stealing a Star Wars mug from a Hot Topic, is that also a public service? Number 4, Jennifer Stone. Another Wizards of Waverly Place co-star, Jennifer Stone is just another one of those people to lose their fame overnight, but it wasn't due to anything outlandish. Jennifer played the best friend to Selena Gomez's Alex Russo, Harper Finkel, on Wizards of Waverly Place. Harper was a bubbly and eccentric character, usually wearing some kind of elaborate dress made from something that just shouldn't be a dress. She played the role so well that the writers decided to make her and Alex live together in the later seasons to give Stone as much screen time as possible. Following the cancellation of the show, she was swooped up by another channel that I'm apparently not supposed to say the name of, but it rhymes with Clickalodian, and was casted as the babysitter slash narrator on the show Dead Time Stories. Good old-fashioned horror shows aimed at kids. Huh? Yeah. Are you afraid of the dark, anybody? Huh? Unfortunately, that show seemed to be her last, as following the final season, she's remained fairly aloof from the public eye, appearing in small budget flicks, but she mostly stays at home and takes care of her mental and physical health. Jennifer was diagnosed with diabetes in 2017 and has been participating in public outreach programs ever since. You go, Finkel! Number 3, Ricky Ullman. He was Phil of the future, keeping it together just as best as we can. Sorry, that show had the catchiest theme song of all time. You may recognize Ricky as the face of the hit show Phil of the Future, following the titular Phil and his family struggling to adjust to the year 2000 after their time machine breaks down in the wrong destination. That's right, if you thought the DeLorean from Back to the Future was strange, these guys built their time machine into an RV. If you're gonna build a time machine, why not do it in style? The show was loved, but it was cut short after only 2 seasons on air, meaning that Ricky was just 19 when he was suddenly out of steady work. In an interview with Insider Magazine, he said that he regrets the way he handled the situation back then. The reality was Ricky didn't know how to navigate the world of Hollywood, as he got the role of Phil because he was pressured into attending an audition. He appeared in a few small projects following the show's cancellation, even making an appearance on the hit comedy series Broad City. But nowadays, Ricky just sits in a chair next to his phone waiting for that call to hopefully come. Reboot time, baby. Number 2, Christy Romano. Christy was Disney's go-to girl in the early 2000s, after breaking onto the scene starring as Ren Stevens in the legendary sitcom The Even Stevens. While she may have starred alongside future Transformers star and maniac Shia LaBeouf, it was Christy that stole the show. She played the character effortlessly for 3 seasons before being tapped to lend her voice to another Disney icon. Christy provided the voice of the animated super spy Kim Possible. Following the cancellation of that series in 2011, Romano actually used her new fortune to attend film school and study what goes on behind the scenes. Romano has remained outside the acting world since that time, apart from a starring role on Broadway as Belle in Beauty and the Beast in 2018. Her most recent venture is that of a YouTube blogger, now chronicling her day-to-day life as a mom. She may not be famous anymore, but she will certainly go down as one of the Disney Channel's greatest. And at number 1, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never appeared in a sitcom or a TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials from brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O. She got her big break when Disney casted her to play 2 roles in the classic family comedy Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly meet at a summer camp and discover their parents split them up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it's really just a delightful movie. Her career only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character, Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served only 84 minutes in jail. Yep, minutes. Some people spend years in jail for less, but Lindsay got a warning. Until 2022, her career was at an abrupt standstill, but she not only seems to be better mentally speaking, but she's also under a new contract with the streaming giant Netflix to release a few rom-com flicks over the next couple of years. So maybe her and Adam Sandler will make like a Netflix multiverse. I don't know how I feel about that.
Alright, number 10, Drake Bell, Drake and Josh, a sitcom that gifted us with some incredible one-liners and caused anyone named Megan to have their lives changed forever. Drake Bell and Josh Peck starred as the titular Drake and Josh for 4 seasons before being cancelled in 2008. Following the cancellation, the 3 main cast members, they all went on to have steady work for a short while. Miranda Cosgrove, who played Megan, had some success in voiceover and was given her own series, I iCarly before dropping out of the acting world in 2015. Josh Peck starred in a few movies and TV shows here and there, but has only recently made a return to mainstream, appearing in the new Christopher Nolan film Oppenheimer. Drake has probably had the worst go of the crew. When the show was cancelled, his roles were limited to straight-to-video flicks and voiceovers starring as Spider-Man in the animated Ultimate Spider-Man series. The worst performance of all, though, was when Nickelodeon thought it would be a great idea to make a live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie. I actually remember this, starring Drake as Timmy Turner. Needless to say, his status as a celebrity was gone at that point, but the nail was driven into the coffin in 2021 when Drake was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service after it was revealed he'd been doing a young fan for years. So if you see him in an orange jumpsuit cleaning graffiti off the wall, you'll know why. Alright, Jamie Lynn Spears at her number 9 spot. Jamie starred as the title character Zoe in the hit series Zoe 101 alongside fellow entry on this list, Matthew Underwood. Her time on the show was well received and made many fans excited about what she may film next. When the show was eventually cancelled in 2008, Jamie was at the center of a massive media rumor. The theory was that Zoe 101 was abruptly cancelled due to Jamie becoming pregnant with her daughter. The reality was that never happened. Jamie did get pregnant, but it was 6 months after filming had wrapped on the series, so the show was cancelled by the executives at Nickelodeon. For some reason, they felt the show was done and needed to be replaced by something new and more fun. And Jamie actually did have plans to continue her career on the silver screen, but like we said, 6 months into looking for work, a new job opportunity opened up, and it would be the most challenging of all, the role of a mother. She decided to move back to Mississippi and gave up her career in film to raise her kid and be a star to, the household. Now, it's not all missed opportunities, however, as Jamie is still remembered fondly as a musician, releasing several songs before 2010, and has recently been popping up at several country and rock festivals to lend her voice to the crowd, and many fans will be happy to know that not only there will be a Zoe 101 flick released on Paramount Plus this fall, but it stars the entire original cast, and a trailer is already out for us to enjoy. Perfect. Alright, number 8, Jake Paul. Jake Paul looted them all. News headline or Dr. Seuss title, I don't know, that's right. The famous YouTuber Jake Paul was briefly a Disney star in the early 2010s, appearing on a short-lived sitcom called Bizaardvark, and in 2020, Paul was involved in a looting that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. A riot broke out in a mall, literally surrounded by police helicopters with lights and sirens, and Jake's reaction had people scrambling for their phones and cameras, but video footage was released by Paul himself, showcasing the events of the night. People were smashing windows and taking everything in sight, and while Paul posted a statement on Twitter claiming he had nothing to do with the riots and they were exclusively kind of observers of the event. But the video did show Jake intervening with looters in the mall, and of course groups were recognizing him almost immediately. And thankfully, the authorities stepped in to make their move on Jake, who told his fans, "No cap, that's tear gas, bro." Okay. Thank you. However, that was just the situation Disney needed to kind of finally fire the guy, according to Disney, and his reckless public behavior was very well known to them at the time, and there had been plans in place to simply address the issue and learn, but the following events in Scottsdale, well, kind of had no choice to cut ties with the performer immediately. He was charged with criminal trespassing, and his defense for the Scottsdale event was that he was documenting it as a, quote, public service. If I videotape my friend stealing a Star Wars mug from Hot Topic, is that also a public service? I don't know. Alright, number 7, Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend, Oliver Oken, on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the Disney scene. He was cast to voice Jeremy in Phineas and Ferb, playing one of the Ritual Kings and Pair of Kings, and something called Hatching Pete, which I vaguely remember watching, but this one I'm pretty sure I've kind of repressed. Now, he seems to be on track to follow Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney, and people think that about Demi Lovato, right? Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed to kind of do so by police and pull over. The report said the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of something just drop kicked them in the nostrils, and he blew a BAL of 0.8, which for those who don't know means he was kind of gone. He was also forced to participate in a adult juice educational program and charged with driving under the influence. Kind of standard, but needless to say, it doesn't really go with Disney's vibe. So he was recast on Pair of Kings. His prank show, it was canceled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that also just kind of nosedived into the toilet. Now, if you'd like to find Mitchell these days, just go download one of his old songs. You'll be the first to do in a while, and I'm sure he'll find you. Alright, at number 6 we have Orlando Brown. That's So Raven, another series considered to be a part of the golden years, also known as the early 2000s of Disney. It starred Raven Simone as the titular character who had the ability to briefly see the future via unprompted visions. Now, I swear every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I question who was on what when they were pitched. The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friend Chelsea and Eddie, played by Annalise Vanderpool, and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, and he quickly became a fan favorite for not only his comedic abilities, but dramatic ability as well. Now, after Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career, it took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being cast as a small side character or secondary characters with minimal screen time, so he never really got a lead after the show. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show and opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. He also shocked audiences with his new look, drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Now, unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney, and he was arrested for a misdemeanor as well after an altercation with his brother. Alright, number 5, Brenda Song. London Tipton. She was the daughter of the man behind the chains of Tipton hotels in the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Brenda Song accepted the role right as she was about to start college. Little did she know the character would consume her life for the next 6 years. She appeared as London on both Zack and Cody and its reboot sequel, The Sweet Life on Deck, for a total of 6 seasons following the show's cancellation in 2011. Brenda starred in a few smaller roles in films like The Social Network, as well as TV shows in like Scandal, New Girl, and Superstore. Now, Brenda, she's still active in the acting community, just in a smaller capacity, as she's traded in her Disney fame for family fortune, starting a family with her boyfriend and fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Now, Richie Rich and London Tipton have a child together, and that's not a show, or not even a reality show. Brenda is slowly making her return to the mainstream as well. However, she has recently starred in a few Netflix and Hulu series, including the comedy series Dollface, where Brenda claims to have rediscovered her passion for acting. And here's hoping that inspires Disney to make another Wendy Wu movie, maybe? If you don't know Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, you need to look into that. Alright, number 4, Kel Mitchell. Welcome to Good Burger, home of Good Burger. Can I take your order? The sentence that always blasts into my skull when I talk about Kel Mitchell. Kel was another young buck to be cast on the hit show All That with Amanda Bynes and future best friend Kenan Thompson. Much like Amanda, Kel was asked to participate in a spin-off of All That, only this time a straight-up sitcom rather than more of a sketch show. And the show, Kenan and Kel, starring Kel and Kenan Thompson, is one of my favorite that Disney Channel produced, and these two had incredible chemistry, and so good that Nickelodeon had a movie centered around them, Good Burger, that has actually aged pretty well, and his character never really took off after that, with him only appearing in that sitcom world and in a minimal capacity then. But his loss of fame was kind of self-inflicted as his career on screen slowed down. His family life has been nothing but up. He decided to stay at home and focused on building a relationship with his wife and rapper Asia Lee, and they are currently expecting a second child sometime this year. We're hoping that when the kids are a little older, Kel can get some time off and maybe make a return to the acting world. Now, there was a rumor of a Good Burger 2 being in the works, so let's start that now. Hashtag Good Burger 2, make it a trend. Alright, number 3, Josh Peck. Josh made up the second half of the series Drake and Josh alongside musician and bad boy Drake Bell. Josh got his start on the Amanda Bynes show alongside Amanda Bynes, participating in several classic sketches before eventually moving on to his own sitcom that is still considered to be one of the best Nickelodeon shows ever produced. Josh's time on the show, it was wonderful. He delivered a zany, big-hearted kind of brother vibe that went really well with Drake's rock and roll, I need love on the inside kind of character. And following following the cancellation of the show. Josh went on to star in several silver screen showings like the underrated comedy Drill Bit Taylor starring Owen Wilson and the reboot of Red Dawn from 2012 alongside Chris Hemsworth. His career dipped in quality following that performance though. Josh was starting to seem like another Nickelodeon kid who was growing up to be rambunctious and wild instead of taking his job seriously. He lended his voice though to several characters over the years, including various roles in the Ice Age films, but has mainly stuck to small TV roles or independent flicks, and he did maintain a following. However, as of a few years ago, he started posting TikToks as well. Those received millions of views, and recently Josh has popped up on the cast list of Christopher Nolan's upcoming historical drama Oppenheimer. Perhaps this will mark his return to the acting world if it's in a movie like that. Now, he may be on the road to Oscar territory. Alright, number 2, Amanda Bynes. Amanda, she got her lucky break on the Nickelodeon sketch series All That, essentially the Nickelodeon version of late night sketch show Saturday Night Live. It sported a stellar cast, including current SNL cast member Kenan Thompson, Drake Bell, and Lori Beth Denberg. Eventually, the producer decided to offer Amanda her own series. Her success only grew from there. The Amanda Bynes Show became one of Nickelodeon's most watched series, and she was picked up by several studios to star in non-Nickelodeon projects like She's the Man, Easy A, and Amanda took a hiatus, however, in 2013 following a very public breakdown. In 2018, she told fans exactly what caused this breakdown. Now, according to Amanda, she became addicted to the devil's lettuce at a young age. While it wasn't an addiction at first, more roles came more pressure and a kind of way to cope, and this eventually led her to more drastic substances. She also believed that she wasn't pretty enough anymore to be in films, and she took Adderall as a way to help her stay thin. In 2013, Amanda posted a series of bizarre tweets where she seemed to be insulting almost everyone she could think of. She called the former president Barack Obama ugly, clearly referring a character from the Amanda Show, but still. She was arrested and placed under psychiatric hold as she was accused of several hit and run incidents and was officially charged with reckless endangerment and criminal possession of some interesting herbs and spices. Her parents then placed her under a conservatorship until 2022 when she stood in front of a judge, healthier and better than ever, ready to move on with her life. The judge then said, okay, Amanda is free to go. Good luck, Amanda, then. Okay, there's a million kids who grew up with you, and we've got your back. Alright, let's end things off with number 1, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never really appeared in a sitcom or TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials for brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O. She got her big break when Disney cast her to play 2 roles in the classic Disney family comedy, The Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly met at a summer camp and discover their parents split up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it's delightful, one of my favorites. Her career, though, only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served 84 minutes in jail. Yep, minutes. Some people spend years in jail. Lindsay, she got a warning there. Until 2022, her career kind of came to an abrupt standstill, but she not only seems to be better mentally, she's also under contract with the streaming giant Netflix to release a few rom-com flicks over the next couple years. So maybe her and Adam Sandler will make a Netflix multiverse. Now, I don't know how I'd feel about that, but we'll see where it goes.
On number 10 is Vanessa Hudgens. As we are all aware, Disney likes to keep their stars as clean as possible, so when they're caught being a little more adult and risque, that's definitely a problem for the company. This became Vanessa Hudgens' reality in 2007 after some of her private photos got leaked. Vanessa opened up about the scandal years later, saying that this was traumatic for her, having lost her privacy in that moment. It was also a big deal for Disney, who was trying to cover the story up and keep her image intact. Since she was one of the faces of the High School Musical franchise, it was important to the company to make this all go away. Joe Jonas even opened up about this time in Vanessa's life, saying that while he and his brothers were working for Disney at this time, he remembers the day that the scandal broke and how the executives had Vanessa in their office for the whole day trying to deal with that mess. Joe even said that the other executives approached him and his brothers and praised them for not having a scandal like this. This put a lot of pressure on the Jonas brothers to always stay perfect in the eyes of the company, so just knowing how much pressure they had on themselves after that, it must have been so much worse for Vanessa. She apologized to her young fans for the pictures and expressed remorse, and luckily for her, Disney was able to salvage her career after that. At number 9, Jake Paul. Once upon a time in 2017, Jake Paul was a Disney star. I know, shocking. He was one of the stars of the Disney Channel show Bizaardvark, and though the show was a success for both Disney and Jake, too much bad press ended with Jake losing his job. Around this time, Jake was often in the news being slammed for his stunts and tomfoolery because of his Team 10 mates and the disturbances that he had been causing. From lighting backyards on fire to noise complaints, Jake's neighbors had police issuing warnings and fines for all sorts of things, and whenever Jake would get in trouble, the media reported it, and it all got back to Disney. They had apparently been monitoring the situation, but things kept getting out of hand online with Jake's YouTube channel, as he was seen doing things that weren't necessarily brand friendly. Ultimately, Jake and the executives at Disney came to the decision to take Jake out of the equation, and they ended up letting him go in the end. It was a number of scandals that really did Jake in, but it was still serious enough for him to get fired. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, why not consider leaving a like to show your support? Also, don't forget to check out the Sassy channel with our girl Joss for some more content if you're into some sass, reactions, and good vibes as well. It's launching on the 19th, so go subscribe and tell them that I sent you. At number 8, Mitchell Musso. Hannah Montana star Mitchell Musso was having a lot of success at Disney. He had been a series regular on the hit show and even branched off to work on Phineas and Ferb and Pair of Kings, but as we all know, when you get in trouble, you get the axe from the mouse. In 2011, Mitchell Musso was arrested and charged with a DUI after failing to stop for an officer directing traffic. Since he was only 20 years old at the time, he was not only caught for drunk driving, but also for drinking under the legal age. He pleaded no contest to the charge, and he was sentenced to 36-month probation, was forced to complete alcohol education classes, and was forced to pay a fine as well. After being charged, Disney made steps toward distancing themselves from Musso. He was taken off the show Pair of Kings, and his prank show was cancelled, and his career was essentially ruined because of it. He had a good run with Disney, but bad press just was too much to cover up, and it blew up in their faces. At number 7, Miley Cyrus. In 2008, Disney was hit with a huge scandal that nearly ruined one of their biggest shows at the time. Hannah Montana was a hit, and nothing seemed to be derailing the show's success, at least until a photo shoot with Vanity Fair became a serious issue for executives. Miley Cyrus posed on the cover of Vanity Fair in a way that was deemed inappropriate by Disney standards, since the star was seen posing wearing nothing but a bed sheet covering her chest and having an exposed back. Though nothing was really shown, and the then 15-year-old Miley said that she loved the shoot and thought it was very creative, the Disney exec had a meltdown because it wasn't the image that they wanted for her and that it could have ruined Hannah Montana. When the photo was published, parents got concerned because Hannah Montana seemed to be a role model for a lot of kids, and parents didn't want these photos influencing their children. Disney actually accused Vanity Fair of deliberately manipulating Miley and trying to sabotage Disney. The president of Disney Channel Worldwide even saw this as such a huge issue that when speaking about Miley's public image, he said, quote, "For Miley Cyrus to be a good girl is now a business decision for her. Parents have invested in her godliness. If she violates that trust, she won't get it back," end quote. Disney was so invested in her image that it hurt Miley in the long run, as she said over the years. And at number 6, Dog with a Blog. I'm not sure how many of you may be familiar with the show Dog with a Blog, but for those who may be unfamiliar with the show, the title says it all. It was a Disney Channel show about a family dog who wrote a blog. But what the title didn't say is how much it took to get that show off the ground and the scandal that broke around it. Even though I wouldn't say this show was top tier, because from the few episodes that I've seen, it really isn't. There is a scandal around this show that is frankly bigger and more dramatic than the show could ever be. Apparently, there was a scandal surrounding the dog who actually starred in the show. When the role was first cast, the part went to a performing dog named Kuma. Kuma was in all of the promotional material, the photos, and the first 5 episodes of the show. He was the best fit for the role because of his experience, but all of a sudden, he was fired. No, he didn't bite anyone, and he didn't have any accident on set. It was because of the drama with his owner over fears that Kuma was being overworked. Kuma's owner said that he'd been overworked on set, having to be on for 12 to 14 hours a day. The stress of working affected Kuma so much that he suffered a seizure on the third day of filming. The owner also said that they were being underpaid for their work, and so she told execs that she would need to pull Kuma from the show for his safety, or at least until there were new guidelines in place for his protection. Instead, the company that hired Kuma sent them a termination letter and Kuma was replaced. Disney didn't want to adjust things for their animals' safety, and so they just got rid of him and replaced him with another performer who wouldn't complain. At number 5, Jake T. Austin. Jake T. Austin was still in Disney's good books up until 2013 when he got in some legal trouble. The former star of Wizards of Waverly Place had just moved over to one of Disney's other networks, Freeform, starring in the show The Fosters. Even though he was moving on to more mature roles, it was still recommended that he stay out of bad press. Clearly, he didn't do that because he's on this list. In 2013, Jake started having some trouble with the law as he was caught driving under the influence on a few occasions. In one incident, he crashed his car into a parked car while under the influence, and another instance saw him get involved in a hit-and-run car crash. Though there were no injuries, Jake still faced bad press for his trouble with the law and being in possession of alcohol. At number 4, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato was quickly becoming another big Disney star after the success of Camp Rock and Sunny with a Chance, but in 2010 there came a scandal that was seemingly the beginning of the end for her Disney career. News broke of an incident between Demi and one of her dancers that changed her image and saw execs scrambling to bury this story. The incident happened while Demi was on tour with the Jonas Brothers, and as Demi was boarding their flight, she was aggravated after having gotten in trouble with her manager for her behavior the night before. Demi assumed that one of her dancers had tattletailed on her, and so she found one of the dancers that she held responsible and had a brief altercation with her. Demi went to her seat and left everyone else on the flight in shock. Demi left the dancer with a black eye, but she was about to face much worse as news broke of this outburst. Demi ended up leaving the tour to recover from emotional and physical distress, but not too long afterwards, Disney was done with the star, leaving Camp Rock and Sunny with a Chance up in the air. At number 3, Hilary Duff. It was a feud to end all Disney feuds. There's nothing worse than two teen girls fighting over a boy because you know how messy that can get. This is what happened between Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan during their years-long feud over Aaron Carter. Their feud first started in 2001 when Aaron Carter was on the set of Lizzie McGuire. The two met and hit it off and they started dating for a bit. Little did Hilary know for a while, but Aaron was also dating Lindsay Lohan at the same time. They both had a relationship with Aaron for a little over a year, and after they both ended things with him, they both could have just gone their separate ways, but oh no, of course not. Instead, they had a public feud which consisted of both girls crashing each other's film premieres and talking about each other in the media. They antagonized each other for years before deciding that they're too old for their squabbles. Though this wasn't a huge controversial scandal, it was still a big thing for a while to see two Disney darlings at each other's throats like that. They were low-key shady, and all because of a boy. I mean, he cheated on you with each other. Definitely not someone worth fighting over. At number 2, Bella Thorne. Looking at Bella Thorne now, you see her as someone who is often in the news for something negative. Recently, she's been criticized for her diss of her ex-girlfriend Tana Mongeau in her newest song, and last summer she also faced backlash for her OnlyFans scam. But in the past, back in her Disney days, things were different. She was sheltered and marketed as an innocent kid with a lot of talent. As she grew up, Bella told sources about how Disney made her conform to their standards, even though all she wanted to do was branch out and be herself. One of her attempts of being herself caused a scandal after Bella was photographed wearing a specific bathing suit when she was a teenager that wasn't deemed brand friendly by Disney. According to Bella, this scandal nearly cost her her job and her family's livelihood, and she said that any other scandals after that would have caused her to get fired. She was forced to be someone else for the duration of her time at Disney, and that scandal is a reminder of how seriously they take their stars' public image. And finally at number 1, Adrienne Bailon. The Cheetah Girls films were another set of hit films from the Disney Channel, and obviously the film stars had to conform with the harsh standards that all other Disney stars had to. After making 3 films with the company, one of the film stars, Adrienne Bailon, was looking to branch out from Disney and step into roles that were more suited for her age. Because she was in her 20s, she wanted to step away from these films, and to do so, she came up with a scheme that would no doubt end her contract. Adrienne ended up leaking her own private photos, causing a stir online and in the media. This bad press was obviously not good for Disney, and so they were forced to let her go. The media picked the scandal apart because of how wild it was, since it started off as a mere leak and turned into a scandal after it was discovered that Adrienne was behind it all, and so after all was said and done, the Cheetah Girls were no more, Adrienne was out. But hey, At least she got what she wanted, right?
Coming in at 10, Ron Howard. A lot of our younger viewers may be surprised to see this Oscar-winning director on our list, but did you know his acting career began at the age of 5 when he played Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show, all the way back in 1960. From there he went on to star in countless other shows before landing the part of Richie Cunningham in the 1970s hit Happy Days, before going on to star in American Graffiti. However, the actor quickly turned his attention to directing instead, with his first directing credit coming in 1977 for Grand Theft Auto. From there he went on to direct Willow, Far and Away, Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, Rush, and countless others. The director went on to even nab an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind, with Ron receiving the award for Best Picture and Best Director. Coming in at 9, Corey Feldman. Like a lot of our other numbers coming up on our list, Corey Feldman was an incredibly popular child star back in the 80s, appearing in many classics like Stand By Me, The Goonies, Gremlins, and of course The Lost Boys. Corey quite famously faced a public battle with drugs, which began shortly after filming The Burbs back in 1989, before the star re-established his career by starring in several lesser-known movies and even dabbling in music. Not only did his career make him a big name in Hollywood, but he was also known for being very close friends with Michael Jackson as a child and a teenager. However, Feldman would later go on to state that Jackson had done real damage to his childhood by befriending him and then abandoning him. Not only did he suffer at the hands of Jackson, but Feldman was also a victim of a Hollywood child sexual abuse scandal. According to the actor, he was molested by a man who identified himself as Ron Crimson, who Feldman also stated was the man who initiated his drug addiction. Feldman later went on to identify the man as actor Cloyd John Grissom. He also accused child agent Marty Weiss of sexually abusing him as well. The star of course looks a whole lot different than he did as a young boy due to years of drug abuse and emotional distress. Coming in at 8, Thora Birch. Back in the 1990s, Thora Birch was in all of our favourite childhood movies, with most of you recognizing the star from the Halloween classic Hocus Pocus, before going on to star in Now and Then alongside another number on our list, Itsy Bitsy Spider and Patriot Games. The actress transitioned into more mature roles when she became a teenager, starring in Ghost World and American Beauty alongside he who must not be named, Kevin Spacey. However, her career took a nosedive when she began to get fired from roles due to her father, who was also her manager. Supposedly he would get into a lot of arguments with some of her co-stars, which would result in her being removed from the film. Now Birch is still acting, but she's definitely not appearing in any high caliber movies. Some of her recent projects include Train, Dark Corners, Petunia, and The Competition. All films I've never heard of. No hate, just facts. Coming in at 7, Peter Billingsley. Billingsley shot to fame when he starred as Ralphie Parker in the 1983 holiday classic A Christmas Story. However, outside of that role, the actor, who was destined for stardom, completely disappeared. In the late 1980s, the actor's career began to slow, with Billingsley only making guest appearances on a handful of shows before seemingly transitioning to another sector of the film industry, producing. Billingsley was the producer of 4 Christmases, starring Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn, Iron Man, F is for Family, and Art of Conflict. Why did no one tell me he produced Iron Man? I feel duped. However, he hasn't completely given up on his career, with Billingsley making an uncredited appearance in Elf, playing Ming Ming. Coming in at 6, Christina Ricci. You may know this star as Wednesday Addams in The Addams Family, Kat in Casper, or even young Roberta in one of my favourite movies, Now and Then. It's safe to say the 90s were the decade of Christina Ricci, and her career did not halt unlike her fellow child actors. She is one of the few stars on our list that successfully managed to maintain her thriving career, with the actress having multiple acting credits to her name every year since 1993. As an adult, she has gone on to star in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Sleepy Hollow, Monster, and Ally McBeal. She also appeared in the short-lived series Pan Am alongside Margot Robbie, as well as played the title character in the Lizzie Borden Chronicles. While she hasn't stopped acting, Ricci has stated that the most important role in her life is now being a mother, and that she is a completely different person than she was before she had a son. Coming in at 5, Tia and Tamera Mowry. Tia and Tamera shot to fame when they starred in the Nickelodeon hit series Sister Sister back in 1994 and running up until 1999. Outside of the hit sitcom, the twins also appeared in Are You Afraid of the Dark, Twitches, and of course, Twitches 2. However, following those roles, their careers took a different path. The pair went on to star in their own reality TV show called Tia and Tamera, which ran from 2011 to 2013.
2014. However, the pair soon went their separate ways, with Tia going on to star in her own cooking channel series called Tia Mowry at Home, where she makes everything from mac and cheese, cake, pie, curry, and various types of cocktails. Tamara, on the other hand, stuck with TV and became a co-host on the popular series The Real back in 2013, where she still remains today. The twins look exactly like their younger selves, except slightly more mature and with a less 90s vibe. They will always be sister to me. Go home, Roger. That's a quote, I'm not just weird. Coming in at 4, Edward Furlong. Now, for a lot of you, the name Edward Furlong may not ring a bell. However, you definitely know who he is. As a child, he starred as John Connor in the Terminator franchise before going on to star in Pet Sematary 2, American History X, and American Heart. During the 90s, Edward Furlong was a certified heartthrob and was in all of the girls' magazines at the time. However, after coming off the high of American History X, where he starred alongside Edward Norton, Furlong found himself hospitalized in 2001 of a suspected overdose. Between the ages of 22 and 26, he was constantly on and off hard drugs, with the actor stating, I quote, "I was a heroin and cocaine addict. It was really scary." However, the star is now sober, stating in the same interview, "I don't even think about partying anymore. It seems lonely now, running and clubbing and doing coke. I have nightmares about doing hard drugs. I'll wake up and I'm like, did I relapse?" However, legal troubles continued to follow Furlong in 2010. He was placed on 3 years probation after he violated a restraining order placed on him by Rachel Bella. In October 2012, Furlong was arrested and charged with domestic violence against his then girlfriend Monica Keener. In March 2013, Furlong was sentenced to 180 days in jail for a violation of probation and use of force against another ex. The legals continued through to 2014. As it stands, Furlong seems to now be on the straight and narrow, with the actor even set to reprise his role as John Connor in the 2019 film Terminator Dark Fate. Coming in at 3, Mara Wilson. Mara Wilson was a hot commodity back in the 90s, being one of the most successful child stars of all time, appearing in works such as Mrs. Doubtfire, Miracle on 34th Street, Matilda, and A Simple Wish. Wilson was on the path to be the next big thing in Hollywood. However, things didn't pan out that way for the star, who instead decided to quit acting and return to school instead. Her official retirement came after her role in the 2000 movie Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Since her retirement from Hollywood, she has been pursuing her passion for writing, even releasing her own book called Where Am I Now?, which was released in September 2016. Regarding her acting career, Wilson told NPR, I quote, "Sometimes I wish I had stopped after Matilda because I think that was really the peak for me. There wasn't really anywhere that I could go from there, so I think that I was already starting to age out of acting. I think it would have been a good time to reevaluate things, but I think that after my mother died, I felt like I had to keep going because film was the only constant in my life." Though she has retired, Wilson does still dabble every now and then in the entertainment world, appearing in an episode of Broad City as a waitress and BoJack Horseman as Jill Pill. The star has also become quite popular on social media, with her being incredibly vocal about anxiety, OCD, and depression. Now, of course, Mara looks a whole lot different than she did when she was 8 years old, starring in our favourite childhood movies, with most fans probably not even recognising her if they crossed her on the street. Coming in at 2, Jonathan Lipnicki. Oh, Jonathan Lipnicki. He was my absolute favourite growing up, with the child star appearing in films such as Jerry Maguire, Stuart Little, The Little Vampire, and Like Mike, my personal fave. He was a highly sought after star in the 90s, however, following a handful of successful film roles, the early 2000s brought about depression and bullying for the young actor, who was mostly starring in small roles and bit parts at the time. However, in 2012, Lipnicki had a 6-episode arc on the show Mother Lover before going on to star in 8 episodes of Interns of Field in 2016. You won't find the former child star appearing in any big movies anymore, opting instead for more independent features. However, what will come as a surprise to a lot of you now is that Jonathan Lipnicki is absolutely ripped. And tattered, but mostly ripped. Abs for days, and I'm all about it. And finally, coming in at number 1, Haley Joel Osment. Haley Joel Osment during a period of time was the biggest child star in the world and perhaps one of the most successful of all time. You would recognize this star from films such as The Sixth Sense, Pay It Forward, and AI Artificial Intelligence. Now, while The Sixth Sense garnered him a whole slew of awards and nominations for his performance as Cole, the boy who could see dead people, following 2003 he seemingly disappeared, opting instead to do more voice acting for TV shows and video games, including Kingdom Hearts. Recently, Haley Joel has been appearing frequently in more popular projects such as The Boys, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, and even in my favourite, NBA 2K19. Now, Haley Joel looks a whole lot different than he did when he was a young child. I mean, of course, it's called aging. He now dons a very large beard, but still has the doughy boyish charm we all knew and loved. Coming in at 10, Cole and Dylan Sprouse. Twin brothers Cole and Dylan Sprouse rose to fame when they landed the title roles on the 2005 Disney Channel sitcom The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which ran until 2008, which saw the twins living in a lavish fictional hotel. As a result of the series' success, the two brothers became heartthrobs for young teens, and the following year the brothers launched a franchise known as the Sprouse Bros Band, which included a clothing line, book series, and magazine. In 2007 and 2010, Cole and Dylan were two of the wealthiest children alive, and were the highest paid teenage Disney actors, earning $40,000 per episode combined. Now, of course, like all child actors, you grow up. The twins went off to college, both attending NYU, with plans to pursue acting once they graduated. However, only one was successful, Cole, who now stars as Jughead Jones on the television series Riverdale. He's grown up and has become quite the looker. Dylan, on the other hand, is a co-owner and brewmaster of the All-Wise Meadery in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And because they're twins, they still look the same. However, Cole dons a dark do, while Dylan has his natural light brown locks. Coming in at 9, Anna Klumsky. Anna Klumsky is best known for playing the lead role of Veda Sultanfus in My Girl alongside Macaulay Culkin all the way back in 1991. However, between 1999 and 2005, Klumsky's career began to slow down, resulting in the actress taking a hiatus and attending college. Following graduation, she returned to acting, starring in several indie films such as Blood Car and In the Loop. And from 2012 to 2019, she starred as Amy Bruckheimer in the incredibly successful HBO series Veep, for which she received 6 Emmy nominations. Now, for most, they don't even realize that Klumsky is My Girl all grown up, with the actress looking strikingly different from her child acting days. Saying that, the smile definitely gives it away. Coming in at 8, Fred Savage. Fred Savage is probably best known for playing Kevin Arnold in the TV series The Wonder Years, which ran from 1988 to 1993, during which time he earned several awards and nominations, such as People's Choice and Young Artist Awards. You may also recognize him from the fan favorite movie The Princess Bride, which gained him national attention for playing the role of the grandson. The older Savage got the fewer roles he was landing, and he seems to focus instead on voice acting, lending his voice to projects like Family Guy, Kim Possible, Justice League Unlimited, and Holidays, The Christmas That Almost Didn't Happen. However, in 2017, Savage joined the cast of the Netflix series Friends from College, before hosting Child Support in 2018 alongside Ricky Gervais. Sadly, he didn't maintain the adorable cuteness he did when he was younger, but still resembles his Wonder Years even in his older years. Woo! Coming in at 7, Thomas Brody Sangster. This is an obvious pick, but how could I avoid one of the cutest child actors in history, who made all of our collective hearts leap when he chased his crush through an airport just to talk to her. Other than his iconic role of Sam in Love Actually in 2003, Thomas also appeared in Nanny McPhee, I had to put it on the list, The Last Legion, and Nowhere Boy, where he played Paul McCartney. Of course, as of 2019, most will be familiar with him thanks to his role in Game of Thrones, where he had a reoccurring role for 10 episodes. Aside from that, he mostly focuses on voice acting, lending his sound to Thunderbirds A Go and American Dad. Looks-wise, Thomas pretty much looks exactly the same as he did in the early 2000s, only now he's taller. That's it. Coming in at 6, Tina Majorino. You may not know her name, but you definitely know her face. Tina is an actress that pops up everywhere in films such as Napoleon Dynamite and the TV series Veronica Mars. However, most of you will remember Tina during the 90s, when she was a child actor starring alongside Kevin Costner in Waterworld, or when she played the adorable Tony in Andre, or even as little Molly alongside Whoopi Goldberg in Corina. She had a thriving career in the 90s, but it wasn't until her 2004 role in Napoleon Dynamite that left fans asking where they recognized her from. And then jump to present day, fans are now asking whatever happened to that girl from Napoleon Dynamite. Well, the actress looks drastically different, sporting a short bob and usually dyed hair. In 2014, she starred in the Veronica Mars movie, and then Grey's Anatomy in 2012 to 2013. But aside from that, she hasn't done much of merit. Coming in at 5, Jerry O'Connell. Who could possibly forget everyone's favorite chubby Vern in Stand By Me, the film which saw a 12-year-old Jerry O'Connell star alongside Corey Feldman and River Phoenix in the heartwarming emotional coming-of-age film. Following his iconic role, he went on to appear in works such as Police Academy 5, Jerry Maguire, Scream 2, Can't Hardly Wait, and Clayton. Unlike a lot of other child actors, Jerry's career continued to thrive with works such as Scary Movie 5, Space Station 76, Piranha 3D, and Veronica Mars. Personally, I was shocked to discover that Jerry O'Connell was the child actor from some of my favourite films growing up, with the actor losing all of his baby weight, slimming up and looking completely different than his character Chubby Vern. Good for you, Jerry. Coming in at 4, Dante Basco. Dante Basco is probably not a name that will ring a bell, however you know him, just perhaps as another name instead. Rufio. That's right, this former child actor starred alongside the late great Robin Williams in Steven Spielberg's 1991 movie Hook, where he played the self-proclaimed leader of the Lost Boys, Rufio. He went on to have a successful acting career, but no role was iconic as the one that made him. Basco, now at the age of 44, has done a lot of voice acting for many animated productions, including Avatar: The Last Airbender, Saints Row, Skate 1, 2 and 3, and Mortal Kombat X. As of 2019, Basco looks a whole lot different than he did in 1991, when he was sporting a red and black mohawk and swinging around Neverland. Coming in at 3, Elijah Wood. Oh, Elijah. A lot of you younger viewers may be shocked that this Lord of the Rings actor is on our list, but yes, at one time he was a very popular child actor appearing in some of my favourite childhood movies. In the early 90s, a young Elijah began to achieve recognition for his acting after landing roles in works such as Avalon, Radio Flyer, The Adventures of Huck Finn, and The Good Son, where he starred alongside an evil Macaulay Culkin. However, unlike a lot of other child actors, his career never slowed, and into his teen years he continued to land roles, including in works such as The Faculty, Deep Impact, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Sin City, Green Street, and of course his most iconic role, the Lord of the Rings franchise, where he plays Frodo Baggins. Once you see baby Elijah in his 90s roles, you will be shocked that you missed him. The actor has aged, but his baby face has never changed. Coming in at 2, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. A lot of you were upset that we didn't include the most iconic twins in history on our first part, but come on, that would have been way too obvious. The Olsen twins began acting at the age of just 6 months, when they were cast in the role of Michelle Tanner on the ABC sitcom Full House. In order to comply with child labour laws that set strict limits on how long a child actor may work, the sisters took turns playing the role. Genius. The twins continued to play the role up until the show's end in 1995. However, that was only the beginning for the twins. They went on to have their own TV show and series of movies, including So Little Time, Mary-Kate and Ashley in Action, and New York Minute. Following their success in acting, the twins turned to fashion, launching their own couture fashion label called The Row, named after Savile Row in London. And in 2012, the twins were named Women's Wear Designer of the Year by the Council of Fashion Designers of America. Not too shabby. Though successful, the twins certainly hide away from the spotlight and appear somber looking whenever papped, but for the most part they look like they did 10 years ago, just moodier. Finally coming in at number 1, Josh Peck. Keenan and Kel may have been an iconic duo in the 90s, but Drake and Josh were by far the most iconic duo in the 2000s. This TV series starred Drake Bell and Josh Peck as a couple of mismatched stepbrothers that you couldn't not love. The show was wickedly funny, with Drake being the good-looking musician and Josh being the chubby comedian of the two. However, how times have changed. During the 2000s, Josh Peck starred in works such as Snow Day, Mean Creek, Spun, and Drillbit Taylor, during which time many fans began to notice the actor shedding his weight and becoming lean. Now the former child actor resides on YouTube and makes frequent appearances in David Dobrik's vlogs. He leads a relatively quiet life with his longtime girlfriend Paige and their newborn son Max in LA. Also, he got really hot. He's hot. Would smash 10 out of 10.